Welcome everybody to Section 5.
What up?
It's Rich back here with Jack, going through Section 5 of your 360 Fitness Coaching Certification Program. So, this time, we're going to be handling flexibility, range of motion, and posture.
Huge.
Now, in those earlier videos, we had mentioned how important it was to get to know where those muscles were, the location of your anatomy, right? To make sure that you know exactly what you need to work on with people. So now that's really going to come into effect during this exact section. So make sure that if you don't remember those anatomical areas of your body, that you are reviewing those areas, because it's really going to help you with the flexibility, range of motion side of things.
That's right. So flexibility and mobility are a larger part of any fitness program more than ever. Okay? So flexibility and mobility have kind of got this weird little stigma, is that they're not important until you hurt yourself. Okay? A lot of people think that flexibility and working on mobility is kind of an after the fact, or if I have time. Not a chance, okay? It needs to be a mainstay of your training program, just as much as your strength training or cardiovascular training, conditioning, whatever you want. You need to incorporate flexibility and mobility training, not only into your client's program, but into yours as well. Okay, so remember that you are the lead example of your business and what you reflect to your clients and your prospects. So you need to practice what you preach. And most personal training clients are not elite athletes. Okay, so they're everyday people that sit at a desk, 9 to 5, 40 to 50 hours a week, and they're tired and exhausted. So what do? Is they go home and sit more. So flexibility and mobility as part of a program is more important than it's ever been. Okay, so we have a sedentary crisis on our hands right now. We have an inactivity crisis on our hands right now. And when people go to the gym, they're hurting themselves more than ever as well, okay? Because they're starting with more education than ever, but in a worse state. They can go on YouTube, they can go, and read these different magazines and have all these advanced training protocols they dive into where they are not ready. Now, we need to get their neuromuscular system and their muscular system and their cardiovascular system on the right page with a good flexibility and mobility program. Okay, so we're going to teach you about that, why it's important and why it's more important now than ever.
Now remember with that as well, most clients, when they are coming in, they might not have any injuries, they might not have any aches or pains.
Right.
But because they're not active, they're not figuring out that their body's not moving in the right way.
Right.
If they start being active and they start noticing, hey, my knee's starting to hurt, my back's starting to hurt, my shoulder, anywhere possible, right? It might be a muscular impingement that hasn't been noticed because they have been so sedentary in the past as well.
Yeah, and I got to add on to that as well. We're using our references with 360 Fitness. Our average age is 45 years old, looking to lose 20 to 30 pounds. So they might be a little bit different than your client. But I know that a lot of our clients come in thinking that pain and discomfort is just an everyday occurrence. And that is not the right way to do things, okay? That is a bad mindset to be in, but these people have been in pain for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and their lower back just hurts. Their knees just hurt. Going upstairs just hurts. And they've accepted a lot of issues in their life, so they might not bring it to your attention. All right, so we're going to educate you on the importance of flexibility and mobility, on how to identify it, how to cue for it, and how to coach for it, and how to incorporate it into somebody's program, and to get them to buy in. It's really tough, okay? Getting somebody to stick back after their training session, or come in before their training session, or to do these, homework activities to work on flexibility and range of motion and mobility is tough. But we're going to explain to you guys the importance of it, so hopefully you can coach your clients and relay that information onto them. Proper range of motion. Go ahead, buddy.
The proper range of motion is really important. You want to make sure that the body is, again, moving through the proper accesses that it needs to make sure that you're doing movements properly. Now, the biggest detractor that a lot of us will find when we are doing movements isn't that we're not strong enough to do a certain movement, isn't that we're lacking the muscular endurance, it's that our muscles are lacking the range of motion to actually do those activities properly.
Right.
So if you have a client doing a deadlift and they're really hurting through the lower back, that's probably going to be more of a muscular tightness through the glutes or the hip flexor or another area. It's not exactly that area itself.
Yeah.
So the more flexible, the more we have that range of motion, the more that we can keep our posture in a tall, proper form, the better off we're going to be doing with the exercises that we're looking to do, which means that we can increase the load, see better results in a shorter amount of time through just doing a little bit of flexibility and range of motion work.
Yeah, and proper range of motion is huge, to prevent injuries, to heal up previous injuries, and to coach that client through proper form. All right. So strength, like Rich was saying, is usually not an issue with that. People can progress and overload their training as much as they want to, but to get somebody to reset and to get into the proper range of motion, you're going to have to coach and cue them through that. All right, so we want our clients to be healthy and happy, not just for the first few sessions, but for their, for years to come. So we're going to have to coach them, and a lot of times reset them back to square one, and to explain what proper range of motion through active living and normal range of motion in everyday activities is, but then also on the workout floor lifting weights. So we'll talk about proper range of motion. Very, very important too. We'll talk about cueing on how to get somebody to buy into what proper range of motion should be through different movements, all right, and different axes of movement as well. We're going to show you guys some red flags to look out for to kind of identify certain things, whether it's bad, good, up, down, left, right. And then give you guys action steps on how to get your clients to get into a proper range of motion and for you to design programs based on their weaknesses and strengths. Okay. One thing I'll touch on real quick is stretching. So again, stretching is a lot of times for our clients and for the general public, it's an after the fact thought. Okay, so if I have time, if I can, blah, 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 or only after I hurt myself. Okay, so after they pull that hammy, after they, tore a pec or whatever else, or have some bursitis or tendonitis or something like that, then they'll think that stretching is important. You need to get them on the right page right off the bat and explain to them why stretching is important. Okay, there's a few different types of stretches for your clients depending on their goals and their needs that we're going to explain to you. We're going to teach you the why behind stretching, when to stretch, and how to stretch. Okay. Really, really important onto that. But again, you only need to stretch once you understand the fundamentals of flexibility and mobility and why we're doing it in the first place.
Okay. Now, when it comes to the posture side of things, again, flexibility, range of motion, the whole 9 yards really comes important when we're looking at posture. So number one, we have to be able to identify where our clients are lacking with their posture, and then identify the specific muscle groups that might need to be worked on to get there, whether it's a muscle that's too tight, a muscle that's too loose, or possibly even a muscle that's a little too weak. So really quickly, I'm just going to get Jack to come over here.
Get ready for this.
So to the side here, Jack, so everyone can see. So if I'm looking at Jack, really quickly, I'm just going to test under here. And you see how I can kind of get underneath his shoulder blade here? So realistically, and this is a very common issue you'll find, is that the chest will be very tight and the back very weak. So if we can strengthen up that back, pull back, and get that chest looser, now that avoids that wing scapula is what it's called. So thank you, Jack, there.
Yeah, so again, I'm a guinea pig on this one, but he's right, okay? So posture is identifying weaknesses and strengths, and the cool thing about posture is that it never lies to us. It never lies to us, and it is one of the foundations and mainframes that 360 fitness personal trainers use to design an effective program. Okay, so when you have a client in for an initial assessment and you're going over a fitness and postural analysis, you'll be able to find out more about that client's body than maybe even they know. All right, so that posture will never ever lie to you, and it'll always tell you what needs to be done rather than what wants to be worked on. All right, so posture is super important for that. Rich and I will talk to you guys about identification. So red flags, kind of like, what is normal posture? What's bad posture? What does it mean if that bad posture goes, untested and unfixed for a long time? We're also going to give you tips on how to get the client to stand up better, to sit up better, and just kind of overall have a better lifestyle posture. And then we are going to be chatting with you about how to balance out posture and how to make them more anatomically correct. So a lot of times it's homeostasis with posture, so it has to do left versus right or up versus down, superior, inferior, a whole bunch of silly names. But really when it comes down to it, it has to be in balance and homeostasis for your body. So we're going to give you actionable steps on how to fix some common posture issues and how to implement that into that person's program, and hopefully they don't even know it's there. All right. Kind of wrap up, guys, and finish on. We're going to do a little bit of an add-on into this section. It's somewhat related to flexibility, range of motion, and posture, but these are things that happen if this isn't taken care of. Okay, so we're going to be chatting with you guys about common injuries that most typical personal training clients will experience before you or with you or after you. And we're going to teach you on how to identify them, what to look for, how to fix them, how to prevent them. We're talking about, simple injuries like shin splints or sore knees or sore back or neck pain, that fun stuff. We're going to teach you how to identify it, how to fix it, different exercises and programming things you can do to complement a program to make sure that these guys don't happen or they happen a lot less frequently. And again, we don't want to see these guys, because if we have this under control and we understand that why it's important and the client understands that fact, we shouldn't see these, but we probably will. So let's go over the common injuries and how to fix them. I think that's it for this section.
Now, really quickly before we wrap it up,
okay.
All I want people to realize is that stretching, range of motion work, it doesn't have to just be static stretching. You're not just holding that muscle, sitting there for 15, 20 minutes, right? It can be very quick, it can be very easy, and it can be implemented into your strength training and into your cardiovascular training.
You got it.
So again, proper posture should be an everyday event. It should be an every movement event. And yeah, how many people puffed up their chest a little, sat up a little bit more straight as soon as we started mentioning that, right? So again, posture comes down to helping everything in the long run as well. We're not playing the short game. We want to be healthy for life.
You got it, guys. We can explain this for hours and hours and hours, but read the coursework, do the assignments, do the tasks, do your homework. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, as always, hit up in the comments section below, and we'll get back to you. Good luck in this section. Talk to you soon.